Picture this. It is pouring rain. The wind is driving it like something out of a scary movie. And in an office parking lot, there is a long green car and a young man, 20-something, short, kind of roundish, leaning up against the left rear passenger door with a look on his face that says simply, "How the hell did I get myself into this?" I was that person. I'll tell you how I got there. I was part of Delta Sigma Pi business fraternity in college, and our community service activity was to help Junior Achievement, organization that goes into schools and helps kids learn about business. They had a lot of fun with it. They got out of the class for us to come in and work with them. So they liked it. We liked it. It was great. We did a good enough job, got enough atta-girls, atta-boys, that the local Junior Achievement leader asked our group to come and make a presentation. See, she was gathering business leaders from all over the southeastern U.S. at their regional headquarters and asking them to give a whole bunch of money. And we were going to be one of the featured attractions in the presentation and the request. I got voluntold that I would be the one making that presentation. So I put something together, tried to memorize my lines, borrowed my mom's long green car, put on my best dark gray suit. At the advice of my dad, I skipped the Dracar Noir cologne, and off into the driving rain I went in Mom's car to make this very important presentation. The Junior Achievement offices were sort of plain, just a big 2-story glass building. They had a portico where you could drive your car underneath and get out of the wind and the weather. And I had a box of pamphlets I was going to hand out. So I intended to pull into the portico and get out and put the box inside the front door, and then go back around and park the car and make a run for it and try to stay as dry as I could. But when I pulled up to the portico, there were a couple of vans blocking my way. So I sat there in my car while the rain is coming down and didn't want to get my pamphlets all soaked, so I just sat there and waited for the vans. The doors opened on the vans, and about 12 middle-aged men in suits got out and went into the building. And after a moment, it occurred to me that that was my audience that I was going to make my sales pitch to. The vans didn't move, though, so I got a little impatient, and I did a few laps around the parking lot because it's just a few minutes before I'm supposed to go in and speak to that group. And I finally found a space that wasn't too far from the front door, and the rain was just not letting up. Wind is blowing trash across the parking lot. It just was not good weather. I sat in the car and tried to gather my thoughts just for a moment and calm myself and remember my lines, remind myself to speak plainly and breathe and not try to go too fast, and just about gotten myself right where I was ready to go. And then I had to figure out, with all of this rain, how am I going to be able to get out of the car, open the left rear passenger door and get my jacket and that box of materials and get under that portico without getting drenched. I'm trying to think about my steps and what I'd do to open the door and close the door. Got it. I step out of the driver's door and lean back, and with my left hand I pull open the door, but I realized that just as I'd opened that left rear passenger door, that I hadn't turned off the car. So the lights are on, the wipers are going, the air conditioner is blowing cold air. And I reached forward, and I'm not sure why I did this, but I didn't fully let go of the door handle on the passenger door to try to get my hand inside the driver's door because the wind started up and it pushed it just a little bit. And all I was able to do as I let go of the left rear passenger door was reach forward and push my hand down onto the lock on top of the driver's side door, which locked the driver's door as it closed. It also locked the other 3 doors, including the left rear passenger door. And at that instant, another strong gust of wind blew up, blew my tie over my shoulder and over the top of the left rear passenger door, and pushed me just so slightly so that my butt bumped up against that door and pushed it shut. And locked, with my tie stuck in the door jamb. And so I'm not going anywhere. My first inclination was to fight and fight and fight, which made the knot tighter and tighter and tighter until I thought I was going to strangle myself. I calmed myself as best I could and tried to work that tiny, incredibly tight knot loose just a little bit, and I think the rainwater had so soaked my tie that the fabric was starting to give, and I was able to work it over my head up to the very top, and it finally came off. And I'm standing there next to my car with the lights on and the wipers going, the engine running, soaked to the skin, when it occurred to me that the conference room where all of those men had gone into in the building was just inside that front door on the left-hand side, just behind that pane of glass. So they'd been watching the whole thing, probably wondering, who is that poor schmuck out there stuck to his car? And in that moment, I had that fight or flight instinct of, all I really want to do right now is just get the hell out of here and go find a payphone and call my dad and ask him to bring a key over and let me into mom's car so I can get out of here. Or I could go inside and do what I came to do. I went inside. The receptionist had been watching me the whole time too, so she had what looked like a beach towel ready for me, and I dried myself the best I could. She said, "They're waiting for you in there." So I went in, this group of 18 or 20 older men sitting around this giant conference table, and they just eyeballed me for a couple of seconds, and I didn't say anything, and they didn't say anything. And I started to say something about, sorry for being a few minutes late, when all of a sudden they just erupted with laughter like it was the funniest thing they had ever heard or seen in their whole lives. And they laughed and laughed and laughed. And I just stood there. When it died down a little, the fellow who is the leader of this group said, "Young man, you came to tell us something. Tell us what you came to say." So I did my best. I thanked them for their time, and I excused myself. And later that night, I got a phone call from the local junior achievement leader who said, "We got the money.